And the results of our survey came out positive, the way it appears, as far as siting a Lowhead Dam down there. Though we haven't done an application, I'm not even sure if I've got to do an application. The way we're talking, I met with the Crawford County engineer and John Thomas, the head of Hungary Canyons, and myself, and also Dean Lorenzen. He's got an interest in the dam too. And we went out the other day and looked at all the sites. We first looked at two sites, one just over into Crawford County, across the Crawford County line, across for the Aspen Bridge there. Are you all aware of where I'm talking about?
Fairly well, fairly well, not exactly.
I've got a county map here if I can find someplace that shows the green dot down there, and the 330th Street Bridge. Both of those bridges have degraded with time. Dean thinks maybe 6 foot or so. Oh, there, Dean. I think maybe 6 foot or so they possibly.
At least 6 foot. When original water lines were put in '75, they would have been put in, 5 to 7 foot below the stream bank. We had to rebore those about 10 years ago. They were out of the water 5 to 8 foot. So, 10, 12, 13 foot, that thing has eroded over time.
Yeah.
Since '75, anyway.
That's coming up a little different than the figures that I have, but it has.
It could be.
It has eroded, and it looks like it qualifies for Hungary Canyons project. And we
How much it eroded since '75?
I'm kind of guessing because I really don't know how much depth cover was in there.
We've got some hard
Dave,
numbers on that, Gene. I think, maybe 6, 7 feet the lower bridge and 5 feet the upper bridge. And I'm sure in the banks where they were, where the banks got wider, it stuck out just like you were saying there, because they were exposed, and that we have. But we've got some measurements that verify that. Our survey showed nick points, as they call them, where coming up the channel. At the very top here, we've got a beaver dam, and up here we've got a Lowhead Dam, actually in the city of Manning, but coming on down. And here's our 330th bridge, and we extended the data just empirically. Came down to the county line because we were talking about possibly putting in 2 structures, each one of them taking out 4 foot of headway. Once we did the estimate on it, kind of scared us because it came up, the combined cost of those 2 structures was nearly $500,000. And I don't think Hungary Canyons right now has that kind of funding. So we reverted to Plan B, possibly putting in 1 structure that would take out 6 foot, or would have 6 foot of head that it would take out of grade, and putting that down south of the 330th Street Bridge, between there and the Crawford County Bridge. And I haven't even got to West Central's interest in this is their water rights, and I didn't tell you about that because they could be a co-beneficiary of this if we do this. It would not only protect our bridge, it would help with their water wells. And this Thursday, we're going to meet with a member of the DNR, a consulting engineer, a Crawford County engineer, and John Thomas. We're going to meet out at the site, look at the site, and talk about the potential of doing a 6-foot weir. That would be a variance out of what's allowed. 4 foot's the maximum of what they've been allowing, but we're going to try to do a 6 foot weir. Dean, would you tell them a little bit about the water wells?
We have 6, from where the proposed structure would be, we have 6 wells upstream of that. We're looking at pooling the water, what, Dave? 5, 6 feet?
6 feet is what we're going to try for. We should, if we site the structure down here, should almost get close to reaching this structure up here, as far as with putting some water in the creek, and that's what we're after. Is
That's
to have-
exactly what we're after, and, you know, my experience with this is somewhat limited, but I know the low-head dams that the town of Manning has put in, they have maintained a static water level throughout the summer months in their particular wells. In another public water supply, a dam was removed and the wells dropped considerably. The dam was put back in, the wells came back up. The aquifer, the central point being the river, its table's going to be fairly close to whatever that water level is there. If we could see a gain of 3, 4, 5, 6 foot would be a godsend in our aquifer levels. It would be huge to us, huge. So West Central will support this thing in any fashion that we can.
As far as the cost on a 6-foot structure, have you done anything figuring on that yet?
We did some figuring on that. Preliminary figure is around 300,000. I don't think it's gonna run quite that much. Costs have went up considerably. The one we did in Dedham, which would actually be a larger structure than this, was 128,000. That was done in '06. John's got a spreadsheet model that he did, and it's in along with that copy, and that's where he's coming up with. And, of course, any initial cost estimate, you want to be on the conservative side and have your numbers plenty high so you don't have to come back and ask for more. But I believe we would be successful if we applied for a grant from Hungary Canyons, which would be an 80-20 thing. And we've talked about sharing, just loosely sharing the 20 between us, or if Crawford County got involved, which is kind of looking like they might not now. None of this is programmed. We don't have it in the budget. We'd have to amend the budget. It'd be a pass-through, but it seems like a good thing, especially considering the urgency of the water wells.
I guess one thing I would bring up, at this point for private wells, there's the EQIP program where you can get low interest loans. Is there anything for an entity like this where we could get some federal money through an emergency program? Have you guys done anything
We've
there?
explored that, we've talked about it, we have found nothing so far.
Okay. Like I said, the private.
There's a group of rural water managers that are gonna meet with the governor next month. We're gonna talk again about it.
Okay.
Right now, there isn't anything that I'm aware of.
That's my question, is where is this gonna sit on the priority list with Hungry Canyons? I know they're limited source of resources now too. You know, I hate to go through all the efforts and get any false hopes up here if they're not gonna fund this, but you do think we will get?
I think they will. I felt quite strongly that, you know, it's just, then again, it's just man talking and one of the members of the board, but I think, you know, from the standpoint of the bridge alone, we've got enough justification to justify the structure. And we've got West Central to go along with us for additional justification, kind of bonus justification, however you want to put it. So I'm thinking we could get funded. And if we can get funded, we want to try and put it on the fast track if we can.
How many projects do they have now, do you know?
Well, top of my head, Dan, I can't tell you right off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think they've got enough money in there for a project of close to this size.
There's about 400,000.
Yes, and
How soon, what's the timetable for getting a response from Hungary Canyons, you know, yes or no, or so we know where we are?
that's a good question. I think, this fall, the next meeting is in December, early December, and whether I would have to do an application. John tells me what we did before for a reimbursement for this is pretty close to, you know, the same stuff I need for an application. That'd be a minimal amount of work. We've talked to a consultant. Figured probably be best to have a consultant do it. That way we could share the costs easier and get it done quickly. If we do get it approved, it would be my hope that we could get it constructed, maybe late this winter, in the spring, get going right away.
Well, I would hope that it stands a good chance because unlike many of them, it has multiple benefits. You know, when you consider the you know, how important rural water is and how big an area they cover. You know, in addition to protecting our county structure, the bridge, close to a town, close to a new hospital, the water that we would perhaps create would be an additional benefit that they don't have with a lot of these low head dams.
Yeah, it seems like a really good thing, just looking at it, and we're kind of excited about it just from the standpoint of the multiple benefits, but, you know, we don't have any application, we haven't, there's nothing for sure yet, and I don't want to be going off and, you know, spending money without your approval.
But you think there's a good chance you can start construction yet this winter?
That's,
I mean, that's one of my concerns, because of the urgency with rural water. I think that's why we want to go fast track.
yeah, that's why we're talking about doing the consultant, just going the whole works that way. And that was the first time that we met. It's kind of a, Dean called me down there, I don't even know when that was that a year ago?
Yeah, it's been a year ago.
And we were actually looking at something else, it was before the drought had really kicked in, and there's a lot of degradation there and a lot of kind of ugly looking stuff there. But and then John calls me up and says, I think you got a pretty good project there, why don't you survey it and see? And well, we surveyed it, and it appears we did, and it's just, the timing just seems to be good.
So let's swing the pendulum the other way when we get a Hurricane Sandy rolls in here and we get too much water. It's not gonna create any flooding issues or anything upstream. Any concerns then?
Shouldn't,
I would think that would be very, very slow. Like having a pond out in the pasture.
Exactly.
Once this thing's filled, it stays that level.
Still gonna
Reach
just
that level.
max it there.
It will not, it won't help or hurt. Same for flood issues, it'll be the same amount of water comes once it's filled up.
Because basically all you're doing there is pooling water and backing it up about a mile. isn't
just
it?
backing it up. There's a couple of pretty good pictures on this page that show the piling and where they're not painted. You can kind of see where it's gone over its lifetime. And the banks are getting awfully steep on that bridge. That would be something we'd probably want to do some bank protection on that bridge prior or in conjunction with this project that would be at our own expense, and it's always at your own expense. Hungary Canyons doesn't pay for bank protection, but to armor those banks and fill those in, because
Be more accessible before you put the structure in.
yeah, we'd have to get our scuba gear out to do it afterwards, probably.
You know, the other thing that comes to my mind when we talk about this in the county in certain areas, we got the wells for fire departments. If we're doing something like this, would this be a possibility to maybe do something like this for fire protection?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've had a couple firemen bring up that we're pretty limited of what we have for dry wells to pump. I mean, we got some micro pits and there's a couple other ones. And there might be something to think about and tie into this for the Manning area.
I'm hoping the DNR will allow us to go more than 4 foot. That's why we were talking the 2 structures, but to build a little deeper structure doesn't really cost very much more. You just have to have a couple feet on your sheet piling and add a little bit more to your 15-to-1 slope running it out. And,
Makes sense rather to do one big one rather than 2 small ones.
it does, yeah. So hopefully we'll have favor with them.
You said 80% of this be by Hungary Canyons and 20% local, right? Funding?
Yes, yeah.
So you need,
60 grand.
And the
you need a
20
motion that
could be
to authorize you to go ahead and present or prepare a grant application.
I think that would be good to,
I will make a motion that we authorize you to get the grant application done.
I'd second that motion.
Because I think there's some urgencies with the water situation and all that. I kind of wish we had done this
And then
9 months or a year ago.
and if we're fortunate enough to get the grant, then we can review what position we're in at that time. And
yeah.
Yeah.
Because
See
we
what kind of-
will
see what
have
kind of
to
partnerships
amend
we-
the budget, you know, the construction budget, put it in, I'll have to amend my DOT budget. We probably won't have to amend the county budget, just the DOT budget, just so we can have that particular project in there.
Well, I mean, there's not very of these Hungary Canyon projects where we have a double win-win here.
No.
Actually, 3, when you consider that you'll stop the erosion or degradation of the stream, you'll protect the structure, you'll create water.
Yeah.
Dean, is this be your participation for rural water, since you
Well, we'll definitely participate.
large beneficiary?
You know,
Any speculation of what
we see the numbers, 50/50. Crawford County is now,
Carroll County is
Probably
maybe out of the
They're
picture
not
now,
growing,
yeah.
right?
so,
Though Paul is willing to help us, and he's coming over. He's excited about it too, because it does affect Crawford County. And we were initially talking 2 structures, but I think we're back to 1. But we flopped around on this. We're just going to try and do it the economical way.
Crawford has a fair number of these structures in their county.
They
He's
do,
got a lot of
yeah.
experience in working with
He
them.
has, yeah.
So-
And he's on the Hungary Canyons board. He's one of the voting member on that board. And so I really think it's probably, initially it was to protect structures, and this is just a super benefit having this along with it. I don't know if it'd be a standalone benefit, but this is just, we've got 2 just really good benefits here.
Very good.
Very well, we still have a motion and a second to authorize the engineer to apply for Hungry Canyons grant. Is that still the understanding? Very good. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
On Thursday, I wouldn't mind going out.